Mark and Tom were hungry, like really hungry, not just regular hungry.
I could eat a horse. A whole one? Maybe two.
That's when they saw it. A poster for the city's annual cooking contest, and the prize, the world's largest sandwich.
We have to get that sandwich.
Tom nodded in agreement.
Operation Giant Sandwich is a go.
Their plan was simple, foolproof even, or so they thought. Sneak into the contest, swipe the sandwich, and enjoy.
What could go wrong?
Tom wondered, completely oblivious to the chaos that awaited. The day of the contest arrived. The city was buzzing with excitement as people from all walks of life gathered to witness the grand event. It was a day that had been marked on calendars for months, a day that promised not just entertainment but also a fierce competition. The air was thick with the smell of delicious food and tension. Stalls lined the streets, each one more inviting than the last, with chefs showcasing their culinary skills. The aroma of spices, grilled meats and freshly baked bread wafted through the air, making it impossible to ignore the feast that awaited. But beneath the surface there was a palpable sense of anxiety. Contestants knew that today every dish mattered. Mark and Tom, disguised in fake mustaches and berets, blended into the crowd. They had spent weeks perfecting their disguises, ensuring that no one would recognize them. Their mission was simple yet crucial: to gather intel on the competition without drawing attention to themselves. As they moved through the crowd, they exchanged knowing glances, each aware of the high stakes involved. They were two ordinary citizens admiring the culinary masterpieces, or so they hoped. Mark and Tom had to act natural, blending in with the food enthusiasts around them. They marveled at the intricate food displays, the vibrant colors, and the meticulous presentation. Every dish told a story, and they were there to listen, to observe, and to report back. The pressure was immense, but they knew they had to stay focused.
Remember, we're just here for the bread and the fillings. Okay, the whole sandwich, Mark whispered to Tom, trying to lighten the mood. They both chuckled, knowing that humor was their way of coping with the stress. The sandwich in question was no ordinary sandwich. It was a masterpiece, a culmination of flavors and textures that promised to be a game-changer in the competition. As they watched the sandwich being prepared, they couldn't help but feel a mix of excitement and apprehension. This was it, the moment they had been waiting for.
Their path to sandwich glory was blocked by a formidable obstacle, a shiny robotic security guard.
That thing looks serious.
The robot whirred and beeped, its red eyes scanning the crowd. Mark and Tom tried to look inconspicuous, which was difficult considering they were both sweating profusely. As they tried to sneak past the robot, a little old lady with a surprisingly strong grip on Tom's arm stopped them. Her grip was firm, almost as if she had been waiting for this very moment. Tom and his friends had been so focused on avoiding the robot that they hadn't noticed her approach. She seemed to appear out of nowhere, her eyes sharp and observant.
"Where do you think you're going, Sonny?" Her voice was stern, but there was a hint of amusement in her tone, as if she found the whole situation rather entertaining.
She asked, her eyes twinkling mischievously. It was clear that she wasn't just any old lady. There was something almost magical about her presence. Her eyes sparkled with a mix of wisdom and mischief, making it hard for Tom to determine whether she was friend or foe.
Just admiring the, giant spoon? Tom blurted out, pointing awkwardly towards a random object in the distance. He knew it sounded ridiculous, but it was the first thing that came to his mind. His friends exchanged nervous glances, unsure of how to back him up.
Tom stammered, his face turning a shade of red. He could feel the old lady's piercing gaze on him, and it made him even more flustered. He had never been good at lying, and this situation was no exception. His friends tried to look nonchalant, but it was clear they were just as nervous as he was.
"You boys are up to something, aren't you?" The old lady's voice was filled with suspicion, but there was also a twinkle in her eye that suggested she might be willing to let them off the hook if they came clean. She had seen enough in her lifetime to know when someone was hiding something.
The old lady chuckled, her laughter light and infectious. It was as if she found joy in the boy's predicament. She wasn't angry, just curious and perhaps a little amused by their antics. Tom and his friends couldn't help but smile, despite their nervousness. They realized that this little old lady was not just an obstacle, but perhaps an unexpected ally in their adventure. with the old lady surprisingly proving to be more of a challenge than the robot. The group found themselves in a bit of a pickle. They had underestimated her resilience and sharp wit. The robot, designed to handle complex tasks and solve intricate problems, was baffled by the old lady's unexpected tenacity. It was almost as if she had been preparing for this moment her entire life. The group needed a plan, and they needed it fast. They managed to distract her with a made-up story about a lost puppy. The tale was spun with such detail and emotion that even the most skeptical would have believed it. They described the puppy's soft fur, its playful bark, and the way it would wag its tail whenever it saw someone it liked. The old lady's stern expression softened as she listened, her eyes reflecting a hint of concern and empathy. She began to ask questions, wanting to know more about the puppy and how she could help.
She bought it, thankfully. The group let out a collective sigh of relief. They had managed to divert her attention just long enough to proceed with their plan. The tension that had been building up slowly began to dissipate. They exchanged glances, silently congratulating each other on their quick thinking and teamwork.
They finally reached the sandwich. It was the culmination of their efforts, the prize they had been striving for. The sandwich, with its layers of fresh ingredients, looked more appetizing than ever. Each member of the group felt a sense of accomplishment as they reached out to grab it.
It was glorious. The sandwich was everything they had imagined and more. The bread was perfectly toasted, the meat was tender and flavorful, and the cheese melted just right. They couldn't help but admire it, taking in every detail. The group celebrated their success, feeling a sense of unity and joy.
A mountain of bread, meat, cheese, and all things delicious. The sandwich was a masterpiece, a testament to their determination and perseverance. Each layer was carefully crafted, creating a symphony of flavors and textures. It was a sight to behold, and they couldn't wait to take the first bite. This was it, the moment of truth. The group gathered around, their faces filled with anticipation. They had worked hard to get to this point, and now it was time to enjoy the fruits of their labor. With a deep breath, they prepared to take the first bite, knowing that this moment would be one they would remember for a long time. Just as Mark reached out to grab the sandwich, the robot whirred back to life.
Alarm sound intruders detected.
It shone a spotlight on them, an alarm blaring, so much for inconspicuous.
Run!
They didn't even get a crumb. They spent the rest of the day hiding from security guards and overly enthusiastic sandwich enthusiasts.
Their stomachs were grumbling, but they couldn't help but laugh at their misfortune. Next time we're ordering pizza.
As they walked off into the sunset, their stomachs still empty, they knew one thing for sure. Their adventures were far from over.
And somewhere, that little old lady was probably still chuckling to herself.
The legend of the sandwich bandits lived on.